Hello everyone. My name is Luba Chudnovets, and I'm head of scaling at Monzo. This means I'm responsible for scaling customer operations as the company grows. Before our kickoff, could you tell me who knows what Monzo is by raising your hand? Okay, so it'll be helpful if I give you some facts. We are a bank in the UK as of April 2017. We are a smartphone-based bank, so we offer all the services off a smartphone. We have 1.2 million customers, and we are growing super fast. We are adding 100,000 customers per month, which is great. We are extremely customer-focused, so our NPS is around 80 consistently. Last month, we also announced some exciting news. We raised 85 million with pre-money valuation of 1 billion. So what makes us special? I'd like to highlight three things. One is technology. We are a full stack bank, and we are building as much as we can in-house to give us full flexibility of our products, to make sure we can ship things quickly and actually provide the features that customers would expect of a bank in the 21st century. We are building a bank with our customers and for our customers, so we genuinely ask a lot for feedback and iterate. And we're also very transparent in how we're building our bank. We share a lot, the good and the bad, and our customers trust us much, much more because of it. So today I'm going to talk about customer support and how we're scaling it. Why is this topic important anyway? A lot of people are very sensitive about money, and rightly so. And ultimately, banking is very much a trust industry. So it's very, very important to build trust with your customers. If customers don't trust you, they will switch to another bank. So here are some comments that we get from our customers. It's very informal. People send us gifts, and people genuinely tell us that a lot of them stay with us and switch to us because of the amazing support we provide. So we believe it's one of our core propositions. Why is it not? One of our core propositions. So for us, it's not just an operational area. We genuinely believe it's one of our competitive advantages. But we are also a very ambitious company, and we want to grow to 1 billion customers at some point. So how do you make sure that you actually provide a very personal support and a delightful support to that many people? Imagine that you're operating across many continents, people speak different languages, different time zones, and so on. So this is the problem we're trying to solve. So how do you actually approach that problem? So the way we think about this is about optimizing the number of people one customer operations person, so we call them COPs, can support. So a typical bank ratio is around 3,000 people. We already are at about 5,500, so we're already twice as efficient as most banks at the moment. But we want to go much, much further with this. We are investing really a lot of time into our tools and how we think about things, so we genuinely think this is going to be one of our competitive advantages. So how we're thinking about this problem? We separate it out in two main areas. One is how do you empower your customer? And when I say empower your customer, it doesn't mean creating friction or pushing people into self-service. It's actually more around anticipating the type of issues people may have and solving their problems beforehand. We want to empower customers to get in touch with us in whichever way they actually want. Could be pigeon post if they prefer, but we want to make sure that we actually make people happier for contacting us rather than just pushing them into something else. And the second way we are thinking, the second point that is very important to us is how do we actually empower COPs, so customer operations people, to be as efficient as they possibly can. So the way we're phrasing it is ultimately we want to make sure people can operate at the speed of thought. So today I'm going to talk to you about the first one, how do you empower a customer? So reducing inbound demand. To give you some context, before I jump in, we are a smartphone-based bank, and so the majority of our conversations actually happen in in-app chat, so people write to us. Some people do call us, some people email us. We also interact with customers on social media, but the majority of conversations come in the in-app chat. So the first question to ask is, what do customers writing about anyway, and why do they need help? So one is, maybe I'm new, I need information, and an example of that would be, what are your fees abroad, for example? Secondly is, I'd like to do something and I'm not sure how. And usually this is a kind of trivial thing that people would want to do and they would expect from a bank. So in this example is, how do I actually make a payment? And the last one is, something is not working as I would expect it to. And for instance, I can't log in, which is the ultimate failure, right? I can't use the app at all. So I'd like to focus today on essentially two first problems, because they are very much an educational ones. How do you educate a customer to find the things that they need and be able to use the app in the way they would expect? Couple of words on the last one. I think a lot of it comes down to how you set up your product culture as well. Moving fast and breaking things is really important. Iterating quickly and shipping things early, but ultimately does impact customer experience a lot. So it's about finding that right balance of shipping fast, but also creating a really good experience. And so you can mitigate a lot of the impacts of shipping fast and making mistakes, but the way we try to build it is we make sure that product teams actually take full ownership of the features they ship and take a lot of responsibility for looking after customer questions and customer inbound demand to make sure that we can correct for those things really, really quickly. So we actually created a team in January this year to tackle specifically this issue, and their goal is to make sure that we can reduce the demand. Just before I jump into a lot of detail, I'd like to share the results of this work. So since January, we reduced the rate of contact from customers by 50%. And if you think about what that means, so 50% fewer customers actually got in touch with us, and they had a better experience because they were able to find things they were looking for rather than needing to chat to anyone. And let's be honest, no one wants to chat to their bank, most of the time at least, hopefully. It also meant that we needed to hire fewer people, and ultimately we became a much more cost-efficient company because of this. So, how did we do this? I'd like to chat about the help screen. And you may think, help screen, this is so boring, all these FAQ lists and things like that. But ultimately, one could argue that if customers can't find what they're looking for, that your product is failing and your user experience is not good enough. That assumes that most people think in the similar ways, and they would expect to find things where everyone would. But actually, it's not always the case. And having a place to go where you know you'll be able to find answers actually helps a lot. So if you frame the problem like this, what are you actually optimizing for in a help screen? And ultimately, there are two key things. One is discoverability. So if I'm there and I'm looking for something, how can I make it extremely easy for the customer to be able to find that article that I'm looking for? Second thing is actionable content. So if I'm already there, does it actually give me the right answer? Can I do anything with it? So we've invested a lot of time into thinking how this could work. And this is how our help screen is structured, and I'm going to talk you through some of the elements of this. So firstly, search. So this is one of the most powerful things we have in a help screen. So we nudge people to search for their answer first. We also try to make the help screen as personable as possible. So based on the actions that you've done, we actually suggest articles for you. We have a whole special section for transaction help. This is very specific to banking. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here because it requires too much context. But ultimately, about 15% of all conversations are connected to transactions. Disputes, chargebacks, I'm expecting a refund, or a deposit from a hotel, and things like that. So we invest quite a lot of time into thinking how we can solve this problem for customers. We also have a trending spotlight. Is there something that you want every one of your customers to know and make it look so nice that actually they can't help but click it and actually find out about it? then a lot of people do actually go and browse and try to find out how their app works, especially with banking, where there are a lot of interesting and complex features. So we have a whole library of articles where you can go and explore. We have a whole section on community. So for us, this is a very important part of our product, engaging with our customers and asking them for feedback. So we have a section called Making Monzo, where we actually share our transparent roadmap and things we're working on and how we're thinking about our products. One of the missions for us is actually giving people control of their financial lives. So we invest time into educating people about finance and helping them find out how products work and make better financial decisions. We also have community, where we actively engage with people and they talk to each other and share tips and tricks of using our products. And it's a very lively place, which actually helped us build the product that we have now. And then, of course, you can chat to us if none of this helps. So I'm going to cover some of the elements of this. So first, search and related articles. So search is probably the most powerful tool that we have in a help screen. And if you think about this, just think of Google. Like, you just go to a page, there's nothing there, there's just a bar, but ultimately you're able to find answers that you're looking for most of the time. And this is exactly what we're trying to build here. So we built a machine learning model based on all of the conversations that people had with us and matched it up with the articles that could help. And we did build it in-house, so that allows us to iterate extremely quickly on how our search works. We also nudge people to try and search first because we're confident that it works really, really well. And when you go to the help screen, this is the first thing you see. So you are nudged to do that first. If that doesn't help and you actually scroll down and chat to a real human, you put in your question, we nudge you to actually see the articles that you would find if you were to search. And a lot of people do go and find things that actually are relevant for them, because a lot of the requests are still very informational and actually doesn't require much action. The second thing is related articles. So you could end up with a relevant topic, but then in the end, it doesn't necessarily answer your question directly. And so we built another machine learning model that helps us optimize and check actually what kind of articles people tend to click later on, and that help them find the response. So that also proved incredibly helpful to help people discover the type of content they're looking for. We also have a personalized section. We call it suggested articles. So at the moment, this is rules-based. So we see what people have actually done in the past, and we suggest things that we believe will be relevant for them. So a couple of examples. If you entered your PIN incorrectly, and you will go to the help screen, we'll know you did this. So we'll suggest to you, how about you recover your PIN? This is how you do it. It's very easy. Or if you came to Croatia, like I did, that's the type of things you will get. You will get tips and tricks on using Monzo in Croatia, and things that other people actually shared around using it here, as well as fees and charges. We also use this section for trending articles and things that everyone should know. So this is discovery. So next, actionable content. We built a very good tracking system of our help screen, so we know exactly where people are going and how well it's working. So every help article actually has, we track how successful it is in helping customers find their answer. So if people do end up on chatting to us after looking at the article, we actually know the success rate, and we'll go and optimize it and make it much better. So there's someone who's consistently looking at this all the time and making sure that articles are actually helpful, depending on how our product is evolving and what customers need. There are, of course, some obvious things like self-service, and here are some examples of things that you can easily automate. But a lot of it does come down to implementation. So the way we've done it, this is a very simple example of in-app banking statement and how you can get it. So you can also do it from the help screen. So as soon as you search, you end up on an article, and we have a DIMP link to direct you to exactly the right part of the screen to get there super quickly. So you will really need to press only a couple of buttons before you end up with your banking statement in your email. Just to share some stats super quickly. So this is phone number update work that we did. So now people can do it in the app. And so a couple of months ago, about 600 people were contacting us every single week to try and update their phone number. But ultimately, you don't really need to chat to your bank to do that, right? And so we made sure that we made this process extremely slick and very easy to find. And despite the fact that number of customers went up dramatically, right now we only have about 90 people who chat to us about this every single week. So, last part that I wanted to chat about was, it's less about reducing the inbound demand, but rather how you can manage it in a smart way. So about a year ago, we found ourselves in a situation where we didn't hire quickly enough, and our waiting times went up, and we were really worried about how it's going to impact our customer satisfaction. And so we decided to try a very simple trial. We decided to ask customers, how urgent is their query? And so that was a very simple iterative test that we built literally in a day. So before people were chatting to us, we would ask them a question, how urgent is your query? And the assumption was that the majority of people will say, of course, my query is urgent. But ultimately, we ended up with something very different. So about 60–70% of customers told us that they're actually really prepared to wait, and it's totally okay. It's really only about 30–40% of people who really consider their query urgent. And so this kind of self-selection allowed us to manage our service much, much better and actually get to people who think it's important to get back to them really fast. So it was based on a very simple test and a very simple idea that we literally built in a day, which ended up changing the way we do support dramatically. So right now it's a full-blown feature, and this is how we essentially serve our customers, by really asking them what they consider to be urgent or not. And the type of questions that are urgent are actually very, very different. So for some people, it's, I'm stuck, like my card is not working, I forgot my PIN, and this is genuinely really urgent. But for some people, they're actually just chatting in a pub and chatting to their friends and showing off their Monzo card, and for some reason the feature is not working, and they actually consider this urgent. But we don't judge people on what we may think is urgent. Actually, we just ask customers, and that actually got us a lot of trust and allowed us to essentially manage our waiting times and the way we organize our work much, much better. So that's it that I have for today. Thank you so much.